Welcome to E4 Electric live from Bangkok, Thailand. Today we're going to talk about something that I've been wondering about for a long time, and a lot of you have commented on almost every single one of my videos. Alex, why are you so negative about all this electric car news? Isn't there something positive going on? And I always go like, I try to look for it and not much. So today we're going to talk about why electric car news suck this year, though I think they've been sucking for a while, but this year especially, you probably also, on top of just regular electric car sources, you probably see the mainstream media articles that are not so great. And now that Trump and Biden and now Harris have been going back and forth about electric cars, and then Elon Musk added to the mix, you know, so we're going to do something very different today. We're actually going to scroll through the news feed. I picked Inside EVs. There's also Electric and Jalopnik and a few other sources, but I think Inside EVs essentially catches all the electric car stories because honestly, like literally, there's would be like somebody farted in a Tesla and the car went on fire, but because it was a Tesla, let's talk about the farts. So like they publish like everything that has any keyword in it that would be Tesla or electric cars or whatever. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to actually scroll through the feed. And of course, I'll answer some questions. The super chats are always appreciated. As a matter of fact, as you guys know, I've been changing the format of the channel. I've been doing 2 videos a day in vertical short format. Pausing it this week. I think I'm gonna put up and this is my attempt to put up a more positive news, and I'm what you're gonna see from me in the next couple of weeks. Less videos, but I think they're gonna be a little bit more stories about what's happening with either some of the news, but I also wanted to kind of go back and revisit some of the things that I think we all forgot about. Like for example, like do you all remember when you saw the Cybertruck first picture for the first time? Because I don't know if you guys know, when they showed it to us, people who were at the Model Y event, nobody noticed, and Elon Musk had to tweet that picture again because none of us noticed. And then, of course, we started talking about like, what the hell is this? Is this a scanner on wheels? Hey, John, how are you doing? From Sacramento, California. All right, so let's talk about now. By the way, I know kind of the answer. And we're going to do this exercise together. I'm going to show you guys a story, and we're going to talk about, is this positive story or is it negative story? Is there negative story inside of the positive story or the other way around? We're going to do that. So now here's why I think what's happening. At first, just like with any technology, remember when the iPhone came out? Oh my God, all this new stuff, and then there's an app in the App Store, and everything. And then as Android came out, and it was exciting, right? The same thing happened with electric cars, essentially, when Tesla came out. But once all these promises and the prototypes and concept cars have gone into production, and we saw what is actually happening. And on top of that, I think a lot of it has been mismanaged, and then Elon Musk turned into a lunatic, and just a lot of things have unfortunately gone not exactly the way we've all, or at least I have imagined. Well, that's where we're at now with everything. So and I think also people have just cooled off on the idea of electric cars because it's no longer new. We kind of know the features. We kind of know what's coming. The improvements are not by 100% every day, right? They're just little by little. And I do have to say that before that, no mainstream media publications like Motor Trend or whatever automobile wanted to touch electric cars. So there were people like me reporting it to you, and we kind of, because we were excited about it, the news were double and triple exciting, right? Exciting news talking about just regular people like me who just love their cars. But at some point, Motor Trend and others like realized, oh man, those electric cars are becoming really popular. We should really, start making money on it. And so all of the invites that used to go to the media drives and everything to people like me and other smaller YouTubers just started to go to Motor Trends and exclusives and stuff like that. And let me tell you, people at Motor Trend don't give a shit about electric cars. So it's just so now the news of electric cars are being delivered to you by people who don't really give a shit. Maybe some of them do, but generally speaking, they're not exactly the enthusiasts. So hello to everybody, who's watching me. I still haven't figured out which which side I'm on. Um, and I'll get to you guys, but let's do this together. So please, full participation is required. And by the way, it is past midnight here in Bangkok. So we are going to get through this. I'm actually hosting a really cool electric car related event panel this Friday. I don't know if you guys saw, I was actually emceeing and hosting another event, or earlier in the summer. Summer's over, actually. Can believe this. So it was my second summer in Bangkok. I cannot believe I have actually lived. This is my second year living in a foreign exotic country, which I now call home. That is insane. Okay, so I have to do some switcherooning between the screens here. So I am going to show you the let's see, the okay. So this is Inside EV's very first page, the top of the page, right? And let me scroll down a little bit so you can see. As you can see, it says barely used Lucid Air EVs are selling for less than half original MSRP. So, all right. Well, this, by the way, when a lot of these publications put something on top of the feed, that means that it is most likely the most popular story that's getting all the views. So that's the story. And I can tell you, it's already, there's a positive, but there's a bigger negative here, right? But you guys go ahead and tell me, is this a positive story or is this a negative story? I'll give you my opinion about it really quick, since I might as well. First, you can say, hey, listen, this is great news. I mean, you can get a almost brand new Lucid. And if you read an article, I actually did take a look at it really quick. Take a look at the article. It's great, right? I mean, damn, half a price, and these cars are almost like bare. I think they didn't even go through the first service yet. Several thousand miles on some of them. Great deal, great for consumers, right? Well, for the consumers who want to buy one, not for the consumers who have them and now lost half of the value in the first 5 to 10,000 miles. That's bad. That's bad for electric cars. And you probably have seen these articles and stories come out and come and go where, and it hurts. The biggest story, which nobody noticed, I think, except for me, and nobody cared when I reported on it, is that Hertz, right? They committed to buying 100,000 Tesla's Model 3, I believe, for their fleet, which was great. There were, and I think they put I'm not big on football, American football, not the real football. They put a big football star, to advertise there. You guys, I'm sure one of you knows. Please tell me in the chat who that superstar was, to advertise Hertz's Tesla fleet. Now, I thought it was a bad idea just because it's really hard to get into a Tesla for the first time. After a long trip, especially, and having to figure out a million things how they work in Tesla and not in other cars. But most importantly, Hertz ended up losing so much money on the depreciation of the cars, and it's because obviously the price war started. Tesla started it, and now it looks like they're actually losing it to BYD. But Tom Brady, thank you, Cake Batter. Tom Brady, that's right. So and the just depreciation of anything that is part of the technology that's moving fast is a normal thing, right? I mean, almost every smartphone, maybe not as much now, but even now, goes down in price really quick because the new one comes out within 6 months to 12 months. Now, I do have to say that I have a Pixel phone, which, by the way, they don't sell here in Thailand. I brought it, and I think it's now 4 years old. I think it's I don't even know which Pixel it is. That's how long I bought, a while since I bought it. But I think it's a Pixel 6, or maybe 5. How can I find out? And what is the Pixel 9 at this point? Anyway, but most people, they buy new phones right away, especially if it's an iPhone. You have to have a latest iPhone because otherwise you're not even a human being, right? And it's so like, yeah, I'm not surprised that these electric cars are improving very quickly. At least they have been. Obviously, that also slowed down. And even with Teslas, right, the hardware, it was like, oh, year old Tesla, well, that can't do FSD anymore on it. So that was quite normal. So I do have to say that this story has both positive and negative. Now, Kate Batter says that negativity drives way more engagement than positivity. Unfortunately, not in my case. And I don't think if you look at other YouTubers in the same niche, maybe with the exception of the electric Viking, I have no idea. The secret behind his success completely eludes me. But the pretty much everybody else who I know and I've been following have been kind of stagnant or have gone down. I There was only really two of us, right? Me and Nikki, who've been kind of dedicated ourselves to the electric car news. And I got to tell you, I got way more clicks and views when the stories were positive, because I got to tell you, I'm tired of being the only, well, no, I'm tired of being a channel that is an electric car channel where the host appears that he hates electric cars. You know, so I don't know. Barack, by the way, as you can see, I don't know, I know you're watching me on LinkedIn. Oh, you just said hi. Okay, got it. So just by the way, so this live stream is on like five different platforms, right? We've got YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter X, that I'm broadcasting at the same time. But most of you, I think, are watching from YouTube. Anyway, so I'm tired of being the guy who runs an electric car channel who looks like he hates electric cars in the most popular electric car brand, Tesla, on top of that, right? So David says electric car Viking doesn't even own an EV. I don't own an EV anymore either, because I just don't want to have a car here in Bangkok. It makes no sense to me, and the infrastructure here is, it's kind of like maybe 8 years in America. So, but yeah, I just don't understand. Here's the thing: I'm glad that someone is having a success who's talking about electric cars. I just don't know why would anybody watch his videos. Like, he can talk about some little battery improvement in the battery in China or whatever, gets 100,000 views. But good for him. The rest of us cannot. So I know when I stopped, essentially little by little, doing electric car positive news and kind of became more of a critic, my views have gone down. Because I mean, I got to tell you, like, I don't even blame the audience, right? Because okay, Tesla fans only want to hear positive about Tesla. Their brains are not allowing for any type of criticism, so they don't want to watch me. And people who want to hear positive electric car news, they just want to know what kind of car they want to buy, what's exciting. They don't want to hear me whine about how Rivian is screwing their customers, or GM is screwing their customers, or this car didn't work. I was a huge fan of Byton and won enough business. I was huge fan of Volkswagen. It screwed me over, and car ended up being quite shit, at least at that time. So like it's I don't even blame the audience, right? So it is I don't think that negative engagement or negative stories for this particular niche are really that great. So Tom says, hell no, any news about Tesla is good. Or hell no. Okay, I don't even know where to put commas in here, but I rarely see positive news stories about Tesla anymore, unfortunately. All right, so I haven't even started scrolling, so let me get back into the feed. And so again, we're using Inside EVs because I feel like they post pretty much every single possible story. All right, here we go. So here's the first page of news. And as you can see, the first one, Volvo says the X90 hardware ready for self-driving, but there's a catch. Okay. So it's a positive headline. I'll give you that. It's a positive headline. But if there's a catch for self-driving, most likely it is not a self-driving. We can, of course, click on it and see what the actual news is. You guys can see everything that Rainbow says the vehicle hardware necessary for unsupervised autonomous driving. Now that's good. That's level 4. But Volvo's promise is different than Tesla's, with a focus on highway driving for the near future. Okay, so it's something that I'm going to go back here. It's something that Mercedes also already done, right? And GM too. So essentially, It's unsupervised, but it's on highways only. Now, if it would be on all highways, I'll be like, you know what? Kudos, but it's probably not. However, this is a positive story. So I'm actually going to go and say this is a positive story. Is it enough for get people jumping up and down? Probably not, because essentially people want uh, uh a product that's ready for the market. It looks like they're just announcing it, and they would like to probably limit you to certain highways, and then it's like, forget it. Before I go to the next story, okay, well, Burak asks, what are your thoughts about the Turkish car TOGG? What I've been a fan of TOGG before it was even a brand. I remember the first time I met with their still current CEO, Garakash. Like when he just showed up to CES in Las Vegas without a booth before. TOGG's booth was already amazing, by the way, and they've been sponsoring my live streams when I and my channel almost every CES, and they would bring me out. I don't know if things are going to be different this year because people have limited budgets, but I absolutely love TOGG. The cars itself, they are, from what I understand, they're selling pretty well in Turkish, in Turkey. Is how we're supposed to pronounce it now. But I haven't heard any sales outside of Turkey just yet. But I'm a fan, and you know what? I'm also a fan of people. They have one of the nicest guys for the CEO who actually gets his shit done. And I love the team. I mean, everybody that I met on the team, but Turkish people are just so. Turkish people are kind of like Thai people, just so kind and respectful and welcoming. Turkey was definitely on my list of countries to move to. It was definitely, I think, top 5. It was Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, Turkey, Kenya. Yeah, yeah. Or maybe Mexico was there. Yeah, Mexico was there as well, but got rid of that real quick. Not that I don't love Mexico, I just don't love the, all the shooting, and the crime. Okay, so let's move on to the next story. So far, we're actually doing pretty good, I think. Not a fully negative story yet. All right, so the next one is updated Tesla Model Y will come as a 6-seater in China. Report. Okay, so this is one of those things where who gives a shit? Honestly, I think like reporting on what's happening in China, at best it will tell you like, okay, maybe this is coming to America, but in this case it's a report, which means it's like there's no confirmation for Tesla, which is one of the biggest, well, one of many fuck ups that that Elon Musk has done by essentially dismissing his PR department, because like you can't confirm everything is a report unless Elon Musk decides to tweet about it or someone just finds out that, oh, it showed up in the showroom. So the I think a lot of people just don't care about what's going on in China, knowing that they're not going to see it. Definitely in America, where most of my audience is, but even in Europe, I know I have some audience in Europe. Obviously, a question about TOG, but at the same time, I also don't. I know there are some countries that even BYD is still not selling their cars yet. So let me know if you think this is a positive story, negative story, or no story whatsoever. All right, let's move to the next one. I'm gonna have to scroll here. Sorry, I'm working through a few screens here. Okay, a Volvo ES90 teased range topping electric sedan coming soon. All right, to me, once again, it's a non-story. I don't care about their teased image. The Volvos, I mean, we kind of all know that they're all going to look the same. I love the way Volvos look nowadays, but they're going to look exactly kind of what you would think that Volvo would look like. There will be no like, oh my god, like there's going to be no Cybertruck, type of designs that stand out from the rest of the model lineup in a good or bad way, right? So okay, now, so I don't care about teasers. I don't think people care about teasers. And the range topping electric sedan coming soon. We don't know when. And on top of that, range topping, what the hell does it mean? A lot of times, these brands promise, and this is where we used to get excited about it, like, oh, what's the range? What's the range? But now we realized, oh yeah, they're gonna promise whatever they pull out of their butts, and then it's actually not going to be that. and then the EPA rating is going to be even less, and then a real world rating is going to be even less than that, and so we've kind of all gotten used to get beaten down, I feel like, right? So that's very kind of unfortunate. Uh, uh, so okay, but let me know if you think this is positive news, negative news, or no news. Um, let's see. All right, no comments from you guys, so I will move on to the next one. And this one, I can already see this is not a good news. Volvo admits defeat. We just had somewhat okay news from Volvo, but right underneath it, Volvo admits defeat, won't go fully electric by 2030. We've heard this from quite a few manufacturers now, including Volkswagen, including Ford. Ford was really big, right? Where they're like, yeah, all that. Yeah, we're gonna do electric cars and yeah, and make our dealerships and they better and and it's gonna be this and that. And now they're like, yeah, we were just kidding. I think we're gonna go stick with hybrids. So Volvo, it seems like yet another manufacturer that's going to be like, yeah, okay, well, we liked it. You liked our hopes, but we're not. We ain't. We're gonna do it. And I, you know, I'm kind of thinking, and help me out here, guys. Feel free to chime in. Do we blame the manufacturers or do we blame the consumers? I personally don't think that blaming consumers really ever the case. Where this is a capitalist society, so um, consumers will buy whatever is appealing to them. And the fact that these electric cars are not delivering what they promised, and most importantly, I think, is none of these manufacturers, and this is a problem that I can't emphasize how big it is, it's just nobody ever kind of admits to it. None of these manufacturers till this day give a shit about the infrastructure. You know, the only manufacturer that ever gave a shit about it is Tesla, right? And they build one. I know we passed, here over there in America, the bill got passed to essentially spend like 1.6 billion dollars on the on the infrastructure, and so far we got like 10 or 20 of those, like in the entire country, locations live. Now I know it takes a long time, but that's problem with the bill, where the bill kind of allowed all this bullshit bureaucracy to still, and the way they ask for the grants and grant the grants, and then the permits and all that stuff, none of it seemed like they thought about streamlining, so that's why it takes a while. It will build out, but for example, a law at some point needs to be done, whether not, probably not federal level, but maybe state levels and maybe county levels, where apartment complexes at some point will need to provide a dedicated electric vehicle charging, like that. There has to be a law. There is no law like that right now. So even when I was living in California, like Silicon Valley, right, one of the highest concentrated places for electric cars, and I would go and look at $5,000 a month, one bedroom apartment, two-bedroom apartment in a brand new building, and I'll be like, hey, you got an electric car charger? And they'll be like, yeah, we got a couple of them collecting dust in the corner. I'm like, are they dedicated? They're like, no, first come, first serve. And I'm like, do you guys even understand that first come, first serve does not work for people who like need the fuel, that need the charge? Like, I'm not gonna gamble if someone else parked their car overnight there and I can't charge in the morning, can go to work. So that's a problem. So the infrastructure, both long distance travel, but essentially infrastructure for apartment complexes, townhouses, stuff like that, is really non-existent. And it really is, I think, why a lot of people just don't want to buy an electric car, and that's why the growth, not the sales growth, has slowed down. Now, I think Tesla has its own problem with their boss, but generally speaking, the sales have slowed down. Now, I've told you many times, guys, that Tesla is the only electric car brand that makes electric cars that is selling less electric cars this year. They were last year, but they have a company. So I think Polestar just announced that that are selling less electric cars this year than the previous year. So overall, we definitely see there's growth. I believe last time when I checked, it was July. The growth was about still 16% year over year altogether, and I think like 40% or 45% year over year if you don't count Tesla. Uh, so there's definitely progress, but the growth has slowed down, and it's a little early in an electric car adoption process for it to give us trouble. But the infrastructure is definitely one of those problems. Um, Here's the next question. Anthony says, "Are you bullish or bearish on the Tesla robotaxi? Do you think it's going to be a viable product or just another hype event?" Um, Listen, I mean, let's just think together. Let's put our brains together. Let's just think about all of the things that Elon Musk promised and has not delivered. There's literally a website dedicated. I believe it's called Elon Musk today or Elon today. It's a long list of all the things he promised, and the number of days in hundreds many times of stuff that he promised and he hasn't delivered. FSD is definitely one of them. As a matter of fact, I've been calling FSD the biggest scam in the automotive industry, of the decade. I'm assuming because the Dieselgate is the previous decade at this point, right? Um, so he has lied and lied and lied. And is it possible that one day they will get it right? Yeah, it is possible. However, there are a couple of things I'm going to rely here on to give you an answer. I think it's the latter. I think it's going to be another hype event. I think he needs a hype again. I think it's kind of like it's very much a Donald Trump type of a strategy, right? Like Donald Trump is very good at PR and making sure that there's something new to talk about, and I think Elon is essentially employ the same strategy, and he just needs another hype. Now, and I think he knows why, because my prediction is the sales for the third quarter for Tesla is going to be just catastrophic. Not only because Tesla has already been selling less cars this year than last year, but they're still making more. Because their CEO was dumb enough to endorse one of the presidential candidates, and there are now surveys that Democrats, a lot of Democrats say, well, I was going to buy a Tesla, but I won't because I feel like I'm just giving money to somebody who will take that money and give it to Donald Trump's campaign. So essentially, by buying this car, I am paying into the campaign of the guy who I don't like at the very least, and definitely don't want to be president. So I think the sales are going to be crap. And even in Europe, that in Europe, BMW is outselling that. BMW is outselling Tesla. So it looks like in Europe, Tesla is also going to uh it's going. By the way, BMW is outselling Tesla just in electric cars, not by just general cars, electric cars. I mean, I remember doing that story and I was like, oh man, I better double check on this because this sounds crazy. But that was true. I believe these were July numbers or August numbers. So it is crazy, but it's true. So Tesla, I feel like the Tesla. I even did a video last week that I wanted to short Tesla stock. I really believe it's just going to crap out. Not that I'm giving any financial advice, but unfortunately, because I live overseas, I'm not able to do margins. Using my trade whatever website that I use. So, and I can't open accounts and new ones because again, I don't reside in America anymore. So, yeah. So is that possible? Oh yeah. So that's one thing I'm relying on. Is that just the data of what is happening with Tesla. He needs this event. He needs the hype. But the data says, or facts say, that when every time Tesla went to court, usually against DMV or another government, watchdog, and argued about FSD not being a scam, even though they're telling all of us that, oh, it's full self-driving, oh, it's amazing, oh, tomorrow it's good, that's it, tomorrow we're done with it. Well, we don't even need the team anymore, right? But then when they go to court where you cannot bullshit and you have to have evidence, if you read those documents, they usually say, oh no, guys, what, full self-driving? Who said full self? We did us? No, 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 no. This is a level 2. This is a level 2 system. So to me, a robotaxi would have to be level 4, right? So you're telling me they're going to jump from level 2 to level 4 without ever hitting level 3? Because I know Elon, right? If Elon had a level 3 system, especially with the Mercedes, and we just read that Volvo has already putting one on the market, he would absolutely do that. So he doesn't have a level 3 because that's what the core papers show. Secondly, like we're like you can't trust the guy. So I think that if anything, like it would be just silly. And here's another point. You know that originally the guy who ran full self driving ended up quitting, and instead of getting another expert, top expert in the industry, Tesla just let, or maybe they didn't want to work for Elon, which a lot of people don't. Tesla ended up just promoting the second smartest guy in Tesla in charge. Then that guy quit. Then the third one, I think third one was Andrew Karpathy. He became the guy, right? So they did not hire new talent to run this, and instead they just kept saying, oh, let's get a second best guy and a third best guy, and now third best guy quit. Now I have looked at some Andrew Karpathy's presentations. I don't think he's the right guy to. I don't think he understands fully how AI has to work in order to succeed. Like I can see how he can get it to 99%. I think his understanding of how to actually train these neural nets, how the brain of the human being works to imitate that, is completely out of whack. And then on top of that, they refuse the radars and sensors. Sorry, the radars and lidars, which is crazy. Why would you not do that? Uh, so so essentially, Tesla has never replenished their talent. So Tesla's talent now is worse than it was 3 or 4 years ago. And don't forget, and those people forget this all the time, but I'll remind you that at one point Tesla has admitted that they ran their main core software into the ground, into the ditch, and they literally had to rewrite it. That's why a lot of features kind of disappeared, or the newer features did not appear right away or as fast, is because they had to rewrite the core software. And I remember there was some features that just basically disappeared. So if and it's not like they hired a new team to rewrite it. It's the same bunch of fuck ups who ran it into the ground that now decided to rewrite it under the supervision of even less smart guy. And now he's gone, and I don't even know who's in charge, but it's got to be fourth smartest guy at that time. And Elon at one point said that I'll be in charge, but he's not in charge. He's tweeting out of his ass all day long, right? He's in the middle of this election promotion and stuff like that. He's trying to save Twitter that he's killing. So it's a mess. I don't see how this is going to be a thing. So I think this is going to be a fluff event. Yeah, maybe they'll do a demo of something, but at this point, no one's going to believe them. The demo needs to work like anywhere. And if it's going to just work for, pre-selected route, pre-taped, or even not pre-taped, even if they just say, oh, yeah, listen, this car just drove through here's the best case scenario. They're going to have a car driving through the country autonomously and finally get to the destination. Will we ever know if the car truly drove by itself? Probably not. Is it possible to pick a route and modify your software to actually do it one time? That's probably how they're going to do it. But as far as having this whole thing, I mean, I would be a fool. I'd rather be surprised than to be stupid, right? All the facts show that this ain't happening. So that's my very long answer to you. Let's move on to the next one. Massey says, Alex, how do you explain the CEO that does their shit right? Farley, TOGG guy, Toyota, Volvo are struggling to do what Tesla did, commit to electric and find a way to build them. Well, okay, so I don't know if Farley does their shit right. I think Herbert Dees did his shit right, and he lost his job, and now there's a complete idiot numbnuts, the Oliver Blume in charge, running Volkswagen to the ground altogether. I think this is the first time Volkswagen is going to close the factory in Germany, which is embarrassing. But as soon as they appointed him, like I said, oh yeah, no, I know who that guy is. He's running Porsche. He's really bad at electric cars. Like one of the most embarrassing electric cars on the market is he's in charge of it. So no surprise that he ended up running, Volkswagen to the ground. And by the way, Herbert Diess got fired because he couldn't figure out the software. Don't get me wrong. No one louder than me at that time how shitty my ID4 software was, and that's the reason I basically lost the Volkswagen sponsorship and made all of these videos that I made. But the new guy spent what? Now he's been what, 1 or 2 years in charge, and all he was able to figure out is that through throw $5 billion at Rivian, not the best choice for software, to get their software. So that's all that guy did. So no, he's these are not great guys. The TOGG guy, yes, Karakash is good, but Toyota, I don't know if that Toyota has been really bad at electric cars. I mean, as a matter of fact, they refused to make one for a long time. Uh, Volvo and Polestar, Polestar just replaced their CEO, right? So are they struggling to do what Tesla did, commit to electric cars and find a way to build them? Well, you have to understand that Tesla had a very unique path, right? They never made gas cars. They also don't have dealerships. They don't have to have them. The legacy manufacturers, they have a problem, right? They're making gas cars. It's not that easy to just start making electric cars while still, I mean, it's almost a conflict of interest if you think about it. And they cannot get rid of dealerships, and dealerships do not want to sell electric cars. Let's face it. They make money on maintenance, not the sales, and electric cars don't need any maintenance. So, one of the problems that Ford had, and Ford has been the most bullish legacy manufacturer out there, and they could not win against the dealers, even though they tried and they just completely lost. So those CEOs' hands are tied. Though, do you want to talk about BYD CEO, for example? Because BYD is killing Tesla. Do you want to, talk about Lucid CEO that, essentially created a car that's got a better range and faster charging times, and better 0 to 60 than Tesla? Like, that's a success, if you ask me, at least in terms of numbers and specs. Um, so I don't know what is the comparison really is and how we kind of calculating this, but I think the explanation is this. When you start over, it's much easier. You know what I mean? Than to inherit something that's just completely designed to be on your way to achieve what they're achieving. But like I said, we can look at BYD and be like, they're doing something right. Xpeng and NIO and so forth. Okay. Cake Butter says the US government gave the funds to the states. States are just being slow. Rhode Island opened 2 locations with 6 stations each. They are free. Yeah, no, I understand how it works, but I'm just saying, of course, the Congress, just they don't really write registration well, or if they ever do, right? In this case, there should be a streamlined way to do it because, and again, Democrats are just so bad at politics. It's cringy because they knew that obviously they could lose presidency, in within 2 years of that bill being passed, and knowing that a new president, like for example Donald Trump, doesn't want any of that, he can basically stop that, right? He can redirect funds into something else or put everything on hold. From what I understand, from I gather, so this should have been streamlined. This whole bidding bullshit process that takes forever, or permits that take forever, this all should have been streamlined and fast tracked, which it hasn't been. That's why it's been so slow. That's kind of my problem with it. Hillary says, I think the first ever postponement of an unveil event is a negative sign for robotaxi. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I think we underestimate the future negative effects of Elon's turn into politics on his business. Oh, I don't. I'm telling you, I was going to put a lot of my money where my mouth is, and short the fuck out of Tesla. I think they're going down this quarter. I can't wait to see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Because if I'm wrong, I should probably just quit doing this channel, or just admit that doesn't matter what Elon Musk does, says, whatever. Like, he's kind of a bulletproof like Donald Trump. He can do whatever you want, and people will still buy his cars. But if what we're seeing with the sales, including the Cybertruck sales, it's already been a problem before he was stupid enough to endorse, Trump. It doesn't matter even who he endorsed, just pissed off the other side, obviously. So yeah, the fact that you know, to be fair, postponing the event probably could be logistical things, right? So, but like, wouldn't you wish they would have postponed the Cybertruck event and not break the windows, for example, right? Or postpone it by a couple of years and not wait for 4 freaking years to actually come up with a product, because whenever they'll unveil the next car, people will be like, we're not going to get excited because none of the promises are going to make it here. You can name the price, you can name the range, you can name everything, and it's not going to be here for years. And when it will be, you will probably under deliver. So they really cut themselves, they shut themselves in the foot. Let's see. Let's right. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna Okay, so from the next question, and now, let me get back to the news also when I can. The champ says, Alex, do you think Tesla and Ford will be able to license Cattle's new battery tech on my Juniper? I'm holding out till then, hoping politics stay out of it. I haven't even heard this. What Cattle's new battery, and why would Tesla? Oh, well, I mean they could. Oh, Model Y Juniper. Yeah, I don't know. I like who the fuck know? I don't know, man. I don't know. Sorry, I just have no good answer because you can't be logical with him. All right, David says FSD can't ever advance as a camera only system. Humans can drive in terrible conditions because we have other sensors to use. Yeah, as why Waymo has many sensors. So actually, I partially disagree. Now, I agree with using cameras only is dumb. And just like many decisions that Elon made, it was just so he can cut down on expenses and pocket more money, which he's been very good at. But the the radar sensors, and um, lidars are important because they can see stuff that human eye cannot. Now, we rarely use other senses to basically drive, right? I mean, it's basically our eyes. So you can technically argue that that's all you need. The problem is, it ain't good enough. This is what, like 40,000 people still die. I'm like 100,000 injured in accidents in America every year, and it doesn't seem to be going down that fast, that much. It's because that's not the best way to do, especially when you have, like, if you want to automate a technology, that technology better be ultimate, right? That technology better be like, if we're teaching cars how to drive, they better drive 100% of the time without any issues. So we want to give the AI, even though it is artificial intelligence, but if the intelligence can be better than our intelligence, then we should absolutely do that. And like I said, I think the decision not to do it was just to save money. Now, Waymo has many sensors, and so pretty much does everybody else. Though I think Xpon decided to get away without lidar. I think I don't want to misquote them, but that would be also um, be a problem, I think. John says, I enjoy driving. Why should I let the FSD robots have the fun? That's a good point. Well, just so you can live longer. You know what I mean? I think that's why. I mean, like I'm a hockey fan, and if you guys are hockey fans, you probably know what just happened, right? One of the best hockey players just died, and like the worst. He was riding a bike and he got hit by a drunk driver, right? Now, a guy also appeared to be kind of like pretty uh, angry or whatever. He was trying to pass cars and stuff like that. And of course, riding a bicycle on the road, but at the end of the day, the LiDAR would be able to see it, and, multiple cameras would be able to see it. Communication between cars would be able to see it, all kinds of stuff. So that's why I would say. Mark says something I probably won't understand because this is investment talk. Tesla Q moves roughly. Tesla Q is that the shorts? Is that people who short Tesla? Roughly twice opposite the daily movement of Tesla. You don't need the to actually short the shares. Yeah, interesting. So there's a ETF. You know what? I would love to find out more about it. Well, unfortunately, I literally just finished my entire portfolio today. I actually reinvested all of the money that I had into a different. I was doing real estate before, and now I did essentially stock market mainly, but did a little bit of Bitcoin, did a little bit of mutual funds, and some CDs and stuff. But yeah, okay, all right, Tesla Q. I will. So it's like a ETF that EFT that essentially sh- follows the Tesla shorting? Educate me. Okay, Cold Tesla says you are wrong. I love when Tesla fans tell me I'm wrong. But let's keep reading. You're wrong about dealership on Ford. Ford made the Model E dealers only use four that should be installed are terrible and their hands are tied. PS robot. Listen, the whole big thing that Ford did when they called their dealers and said, "Hey guys, you're in or you're out. If you're out, you're going to be really punished, and if you're in, we're going to be rewarded." Um, you know, well, but you kind of arguing that even part of that, if even if they had their way, they would have still be bad. Is that what you're saying? Okay, maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying, but that wasn't the problem. They just couldn't. I mean, legally, the dealerships got together and kicked Ford's booty. Visual. Sorry, I'm gonna backtrack and pretend like I never read your comment because I didn't understand it. Sorry. Visual enthusiast could be me, by the way. Visual enthusiast says the U.S. government needs to put a plan in place to retire EV with all batteries tech in the next 5 years. Um, well, I don't know if people would want that. I mean, even right now, you can go and buy the piece of crap that was originally the Nissan Leaf, but you can buy it for like $2,000 and have your kid drive it. I mean, it's actually almost a feature that these Nissan Leafs only have like 30 or 40 miles of range left on them. And that way, the kid is not driving to Las Vegas or not that far out, right? So, and by the way, when I was living in Las Vegas, because I did run away to Las Vegas. I had a house there that I just sold. I had a Chevy Volt, and it only had about 45 realistic miles of electric range, and I believe I only needed to gas my car only once a month because Las Vegas is not a huge city, but it's an average city. And even an average city, you don't need to do that much driving to get to places. And sometimes you just charge somewhere in between, and a small battery you can charge it much faster. And a lot of times I would just get home, recharge, and go somewhere else, just naturally. That's just how my day flew. So a 30 or 40 mile used 10-year-old Nissan Leaf for $2,000, why retire? It's a great car if you want to give it to your kid. Absolutely. Boom. Rob shows up and shows everybody who the boss is, the supercharger boss. Another 50 American dollars. For those of you who don't know, I live in Thailand. So if you want to know how far $50, which is already a huge, super chat, and Rob does it literally every week, sometimes twice, which is insane. I think you have given me more money than my parents this year so far, Rob. I appreciate that. You know, you just multiply whatever dollar amount by five. So, like for example, if I was in America, then $50 would be equivalent of here. $50 is equivalent of $250 in America. So, Rob, thank you so much. I appreciate it. As usual, you didn't say anything. You just dropped the cash and you go. I appreciate it. I really do. Let me see if you're any. No, there are no messages from you at all. Well, I again humbled and appreciate it. And just so you guys know, essentially my channel is kind of in a relaunching stage this year. I'm trying different things because reporting on electric cars ain't working anymore, and sponsors don't want to sponsor that anymore. So I'm living off of essentially, well, I have other sources of income, but the good money is gone. So I'm definitely living off of support from you guys. So thank you for those who supported me through Patreon and through super chats and through memberships and stuff like that. So I really do appreciate it. All right, thank you, Rob. Next is Steve says, is BYD building AI compute capabilities anything like Tesla is? Tesla spent $5 billion in the last year on AI. Either that is unnecessary or BYD will fall far behind. Is that true? So you assume that whatever Elon Musk says that is needed to be done to get somewhere is true. What I'm saying is he's full of shit a lot of times. So just because he's doing something because he thinks he needs to achieve it, it doesn't mean that BYD needs to do it to get shit done faster and better. Does that make sense? What is it that you want BYD to do that that Tesla is doing or not doing? I don't think BYD is positioning themselves right now as a self-driving or AI company, right? I think we should look more on like Cruise or Waymo or even Xpeng. Um, Xpeng's got a pretty comparable um, uh, FSD type of a product. I think it's called X Pilot, and in China, it works either the same or better than Tesla's FSD in China. Um, David says cannot get there without lidar. I agree, but at least radars, like at least that. Um, Rob says he will be on calls and listening as you can. Well, I will just make sure to have either calls muted on or this live stream muted. You don't want to get in. I don't want you to get in trouble. Okay, you know what we're gonna do now? We're gonna actually continue with reviewing the news because we kind of slowed down. So let me scroll to the news. And all right, so Volvo admits defeat. That's where everything started. We drive the next one. We drive the electric Bentley Blower Junior. Okay, so this is a story about essentially a conversion, right? And I know it's kind of cool. You know, you convert an old car into an electric. And I got to tell you, if I had the money, was still in the U.S., and maybe I'll do it one day because I love a classic Rolls Royce, and I even had one in America. I had a 1985 Rolls Royce Silver Spirit 2. I sold it. It was just a lot of trouble, and I love driving it. Oh my god, I love driving it. But um, if I could convert a Rolls Royce like that into an electric, that would be great. So that's the story. But do we really give a shit about this? I mean, yeah, it's a fun story, but do we really care about something like this as people who are following electric car news? Uh I don't. I think it's cool, but I, let's just look at it as a positive story. But at the same time, there's just what I've noticed that you can have a positive story that nobody wants to watch, even if it's a cool positive story, right? Um, okay, David says Toyota Prius has been around since early 2000s. Uh, Okay. I don't know what this is in regards to, but sure not about electric cars. Visual enthusiast says to me the robotaxi's operation will need a human review, AI, or a guy in India. Um, when you say a robotaxi's operation, you mean like when they launch the fleet and all of that stuff? Um, and what do you mean by human review? There's got to be someone overseeing this, right? And we already know from Waymo and Cruise operations that the watchdogs, unlike the way they operate with Tesla, they are pretty, they're definitely watching Waymo and Cruise and others on what's happening with their self-driving um, fleets and projects. And I know Uber's one was pretty much killed by that one bicyclist being hit by the car, even though you can argue that was also a problem of their test driver not paying attention. So, but that was very unfortunate. Okay, all right. So next one on the list again, Volvo. Now we're talking about plug-in electric. So PHEV has chargeable looks, new tech. Okay, not exactly electric car, but and here's the next one. It also says next gen Volvo electric semi truck to deliver up to 373 miles of range. That's double of the current model's rating. So interesting stories. Well, first of all, it, I see a lot of stories about new models coming on the market. This one is not even fully EV; it's a plug-in hybrid EV. What I'm seeing now is that a new generation. And by the way, by new generation, I just mean next year's models are just like with gas cars. They're not that much better. They do improve the range. They put some extra tech in it, but I think these are very different from what it used to be, because a lot of times before that, right, the next year they would do something really cool just because there were a lot of stuff to still work out and a lot of tech that was catching up to their production. But now it's like, all right, well, we kind of expected you to add 5 to 10 miles of range. Kind of like would be surprised if you didn't, because you sure raised the price. So are those stories positive? Yes, but I just don't like. I I I don't find them. I don't find them worth talking about. But let me know if I'm wrong. Like, is this an exciting story? And then, of course, let's talk about the next generation Volvo electric semi truck. Okay, so that's another thing. Like, I feel like Tesla semi truck got a lot of attention because it's just like Tesla semi truck and it looked really cool and all that stuff. But the other, like, I just went to Volvo event in Sweden, right? And it was cool, and I made so many amazing videos with all of this, cool equipment from cool equipment from Volvo Industrial, right? Because that's a real Volvo. The Volvo Cars now is actually owned by Geely, which is the Chinese manufacturer. But I just, I just realized that a lot of people just don't really care because I mean, semi trucks, right? I think hardcore enthusiasts might care that the semi trucks are getting electric and they're getting more range and all the stuff. But um, again, if we're talking about people who are just shopping for an electric car, I don't think they care that much about the semi trucks. And by the way, so the new range is 373 miles. I'm going to go and guess that it's WLTP, European system, which probably brings it down closer to 300. Before that, it was 186 miles, which probably was closer to 140, right? But as this article mentions, that semi truck, offers 300 to 500 miles, and that's the EPA range. So it's like, all right, well, you double your range, but you're still like, at 60% of what Tesla offers. So yay. So that's my Debbie Downer take on this. Um, Ford patents a way to bring ads inside your car. Is that a positive story? Or it's like, hey, Ford's figured out how to annoy the shit out of you while you're driving while making money on you. you know? There's a robotaxi, everything we know. That usually means that we don't know much. Okay, a recall. That's not good. Especially fire risk. I mean, my goodness. See, this is the stuff that drives me crazy because no matter how many, like, there's a lot of videos that I've reacted to. Did a reaction videos. Basically, people saying, "Oh, see those electric cars? They're on fire all the time. All we see is fire, fire, fire." And it's true. They all you see on the news when there is a car fire, it's electric car. But usually, not usually, I'm just going to go at without usually because electric car fires are so rare, but they get so many clicks. That's what people see. But they've been now at least two surveys that show that electric cars, per let's say 100,000, are more than 100 times less likely to catch on fire. So I like yeah. I mean, I actually did this video. What was that guy who's just like uh old school car guy who just shits on electric cars all the time? Scotty someone. Anyway, so I did a video where he just shitted on electric cars, and I just one by one, I basically, while making fun of him how he talks, uh disprove every single statement that he did. And I posted it. He did okay. But then I went to Facebook, which I rarely check, and it did like 100,000 views or something crazy like that. And I look at the comments, and every single comment just wants me dead. And I realized that this video, the reason it got popular on Facebook is because his fans reposted my video and basically told me that I'm a piece of shit. So, but nobody really argued against any of my points, it looks like. And when they did, it was just more stuff. Yeah, Scotty Kilmer. Thank you, Mark. And and that was probably my best video that I made about electric car fires, because he also mentioned, like, every time I see one, it's on some fire. It's like, yeah, that's true. It's because it's so rare that they even show you on TV, because gas cars catch on fire all the time, and it's so often that no one's going to cover that. All right, I got a super chat from John. John, thank you so much, a fellow former, I believe, ID for a driver. $19.99. I would love to know, what did I do not to deserve the last cent on a $20 bill. But thank you, John. I really appreciate it. I'm definitely, I'm going to add it to the other $50, and now I can live on this for a week. By the way, not a far-fetched statement here. So yeah, I'll thank you, John. And let's move on to the next one called Tesla says, PS, your Volvo electric tractor videos are great. I know, I think so too. As a matter of fact, being there, like just in case if you guys don't know, Volvo invited me. I think this is one of the last trips I'm actually going to take where somebody pays for my trip. But Volvo flew me to Sweden, and basically they brought us to this big demo construction site with all of this excavators and tractors and trucks and all of that stuff. That a lot of them were electric. And then they said they did this amazing show where they had this industrial equipment dance waltzes and slow dance with each other. You know, it was I never seen anything like this in my life. That was amazing. And then they said, "Okay, kids, now go and play with these." And we're like, they didn't even give us the helmets. They like let us go and operate a heavy machinery. Uh, uh, it was amazing. I drove the semi truck. I operated the excavators. I drove small and huge tractors and bulldozers. I mean, it was like kids' dream come true, you know. And because there was only maybe like 20 media members, and the site was humongous site with like 50 or 60 pieces of equipment, so we all got to play with our favorite pieces. Like, I mean, my God, that was like one of the best trips I've taken. So I love making that videos, and yet not too many people watched it, you know. And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying is like whenever I did something positive, whenever I do something positive on my channel, people go like, meh, you know. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so let's go back to Massey says, "Hey Alex, the Cybertruck had 2 consecutive months with the title of the best-selling vehicle above 100,000. I can't imagine how it will be when the price goes down by 10 or 20%. Don't you think?" Okay, so Massey, I already addressed this last time. First of all, yes, when you come out with a product and hold it for 4 years, and your brainless, cult members with money are ready to throw that money at you, and you held them at the door for 4 years, yes, you will have the best selling vehicle above 100,000. The problem is that they're running out of those brainless idiots buying the Cybertruck for $100,000. As a matter of fact, that's what happened. The 2 million reservation queue is now empty as far as people wanting to buy it. You can literally, you don't they don't even take reservations because they know the queue is empty. So you can literally walk into the Tesla showroom and get yourself a Cybertruck in a few weeks. You know, and at this point, I'm gonna assume they now have a few extras, so you might even walk out with one or get one within a week. So, or people canceling orders. That's also a thing. So that's why. Let's see what happens in another year, right? Uh, Also, as far as dropping the price by 10 or 20%, I don't know if that's going to make that big of a difference. But don't forget, they grew that queue by saying that this truck is going to cost 40,000. When then they came up with it, when they actually started production last year, the cheapest version you could order was 60,000. Now, what, 2 3 weeks ago, they removed the $60,000 version, which would have made $80,000 version the cheapest, and then they upped that one by 20,000. So now the cheapest version is 100,000 again. So if they're gonna drop it by 10, 20,000, I gotta tell you, I don't think. And by the way, I think the worst is yet to come for the Cybertruck. Once people will realize, once insurance companies will realize how much it is going to cost to fix these Cybertrucks when they get into accidents, and most of the time will probably get total because it's stainless steel, as exoskeleton, the battery is built into the structure, right? Um, so if it's any type of even an average accident, they will they'll get totaled. They will get totaled. They will get totaled for like no good reason, and the insurance companies will realize that the prices to insure the Cybertruck will be extremely high. Then there will be more Cybertrucks on the road that the Tesla service centers and body shops will be able to handle. Now, before that, and even now, Tesla has certified a bunch of body shops to work on their cars, and it works fine, except for no body shop right now, independent body shop, knows how to work on a stainless steel body frame. So there will be no independent body shops helping Tesla out getting certified. So it will be completely up to Tesla. And if history taught us anything about how Tesla operates with their service centers, they don't. So there will be long lines because of that. The insurance companies will raise prices again because they will have to pay out longer storage fees, because whenever your car is being stored by the body shop on their property, especially something that needs to be locked inside, they will charge a storage fee, to you and your insurance company. And then, of course, the longer people have to wait for their Cybertrucks to be fixed, the more money insurance companies have to dish out on daily rentals. A lot of them will probably cap out at 30 days, which usually is a limit with like farmers and so forth. So once the insurance rates will come up, that extra 10 or 20% of discount that you're going to get maybe on cheaper Cybertrucks is going to probably go into your payments to your insurance company. So, and I think that shitstorm has not even hit the mainstream and has not inconvenienced enough people. But the people who are having their Cybertrucks towed and are getting into accidents are already kind of pissed off. So I think that's going to be a big, 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 big problem. Visual enthusiast says EVs catching a fire is so rare that always made the news. Ice, nobody. Yep, absolutely. That's exactly what I said. John, one of the two super chatters today, says making robots drive the car is cool, but it's mostly just a manifestation of engineering ego. Widespread adoption is very different thing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's going to happen. It is definitely going to happen. And Tesla might very well be the company that's first to the market, and then even maybe starts licensing this technology to others. But it's not going to be anytime soon. And honestly, I think let's see what happens, for the rest of the year. Let's see what happens with, Elon not being able to sell cars because he's now a lunatic who supports one of the two candidates that the other part of the country hates. And I would still think he's a lunatic if he would have endorsed Biden or Harris, because again, it's alienating the half of the country. So that's a bad decision as the CEO. Don't forget, there is a price to pay for putting Cybertruck on the market. Don't forget, there is a price to pay for firing the supercharger team and falling behind in that category, which is already happening. There are more and more Teslas on the road, and there are more and more Teslas for each available supercharger location and each available charger. That's going to become a bigger and bigger problem. I think that this whole thing is going to lead to investors and shareholders rising against Elon and kicking him out, like Steve Jobs was kicked out. Except for Elon, is probably not going to come back like Steve Jobs did, or forcing Elon to just become the CTO and hiring an actual adult to run Tesla like the CEO and giving him the full powers, changing around the board, kicking out Elon's buddies and friends and families and cats or whoever is else on the board of directors where he's untouchable, and actually have an independent board of directors. I think that's where it's going, but who knows? All right, let's go through a few more news stories just for shits and giggles. Okay, so the recall wasn't good. That was not good. But it's over a fire, so yeah. Here's another article. More efficient EVs will be cheaper, less stressful on power grid. Like, and it's got a Lucid in there. Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Scout Motors, which is where the CEO of Volkswagen Group of America went to become the CEO. That's a Volkswagen brand that they're resurrecting. Will be unveiling their SUV in the truck on October 24th. Now, that is kind of exciting. Now, I wouldn't still, as we know, there's nothing yet. Now, I wouldn't probably even talk about this on my channel because we don't have anything to go by except for, okay, we're going to get unveiled. But whatever gets unveiled here, I think definitely is a huge opportunity for this new Volkswagen brand to actually, this brand, Scout, to maybe start making very interesting versions of the SUV and a truck, right? So this could be exciting, but not as far as just the news by itself. The Volvo EX90 will beep at you for looking at the road too much. That sounds ridiculous. The vast majority of Tesla owners buy another one. Now, this is where I could possibly be wrong, right? With this article. Um, the fact that Tesla owners experience Tesla, experience all of the problems, this shitty service, not all of them, right? But a lot of them, buy the FSD, not get what they want, get delays, get, all of that stuff, and still go back for more. Now, I think that's gonna end very soon, at least in such numbers. But it is still one thing that is beyond me. And if I see that Q3 sales results for Tesla are not as bad as I'm predicting, I will throw my hands in the air and say, you know what? Do not fucking listen to me anymore. You know what I mean? What do I know? This guy is untouchable. What he says, what he does, what he tweets, none of it matters. He's built some sort of a brainless, cult following that's enough to support whatever it is that he does, and he will be untouchable for many, many years. He's gonna continue being the CEO and do whatever he does. His sales will be fine. And then I'll probably need to shut the fuck up. I will just have to stop reporting and criticizing on him at all, right? I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is a disaster, but we'll see. All right, so let me get back to okay. So, just in conclusion, as far as electric cars news is concerned, besides the Scout announcement, which again is kind of exciting, but if it was like 6-7 years ago, we're like, oh, new brand is coming. Let's speculate what it could be. But we've now seen a lot of brands come out and disappoint us, right? Or come out with a great presentation. We start drooling over it. And then, oh, yeah, well, it's not going to be around until like 3 or 4 years from now. And by the way, they're going to delay production. And by the way, the cool features are not going to be there. Something we've seen with Rivian. Two by far coolest features that Rivian was promising are completely been canceled and discontinued. Well, one of them is kind of coming back a little bit, right? The travel kitchen or whatever. So so a lot of times a news like this that used to be something that people would be excited about, I would be excited about, is just another way how people might get disappointed, and therefore people don't get as excited. Let's see what they say. Let's see what they come up with. But as far as that article just saying, oh, guess what? The data set, it doesn't get people as excited as before, just because we've all gone through this and been disappointed. Cole Tesla says a Cybertruck will be Tesla first big fail. I mean, massive. You are nailing it on him, but yeah. I mean, listen. When I was predicting this a year ago, before we even started production, everybody called me an idiot. Like, this happens all the time, right? People go like, Alex, you say so many stupid things, and then I end up being right, but nobody gives me credit. They just move on saying something else negative about what I'm saying, in saying how wrong I am about that. So how many times this has happened? Like, I actually literally thought about making videos, digging into my archives about saying, like, including about Sandy Munro, right? At some point I said, okay, Sandy Munro is full of shit. We kind of give him way too much credit. Just because he understands how to figure out what's under the hood of electric cars doesn't mean he knows anything about anything outside of that. And his bias have caught up to him, so he doesn't even understand reality. And people said, well, yeah, and it turns out that's becoming true. Same thing about FSD, same thing about, the Cybertruck. But the too bad no one's keeping score, because, at some point I would have loved that if people say, you know what, there's a Alex guy with a weird Russian accent. Turns out he's right a lot. Now, I'm also wrong a lot too. Biden, for example, but in Volkswagen. But but yeah, but I'm not going to make that video, I guess. And we'll see. Like I said, we don't have to wait for that long, man. We don't have to wait for that long to figure out if this is going to be true or not. Jared the Geek says Scout should make a simple EV, small SUV with focus on off-road. Use less tech to keep price down, EV train, and simple everything. I agree. Because think about Jeep, right? I know Jeep is not cheap, but, people who love off-roading, people who want those off-road SUVs and trucks, they want simple shit. They don't want all of this freaking technology. That's not how they use their cars. That's why I think a lot of these, like Rivian and Cybertruck, they are like overdoing it, and there's very small audience for it. The real truck people, they'd rather go with the F-150 Lightning. That's more of a real truck. The Silverado EV, which is even better truck, and even you can argue Hummer EV, that's kind of limited edition, really, and very expensive. Well, not anymore, I guess, compared to everything else. They're just better trucks with less bullshit tech that people do not need. Though some things are pretty cool, right? Like the Hummer EV has cameras underneath, so when you're like trying not to scratch your bottom, which is battery, is that's kind of cool that you can see how close you are to losing it. Cole Tesla says location backgrounds in your shorts are interesting. Do more on the city you live. Cole Tesla, you're the first person who mentioned this. I've produced over 150 shorts and trying to pick different cool backgrounds of amazing places behind me here in Bangkok, including this beautiful cityscapes. And you're the first one who mentioned that. So I might still do that. I'm just not going to go to the great length of actually doing that. Now, let me run something by you guys before, yeah, because it's 1:20 in the morning. So let me run something by you that's I'm thinking about. You'll be the first ones to know what's happening in my brain. So here's what I'm thinking about. So by the way, I think we're good as far as like looking at the news. I gotta tell you, the news feed nowadays is more negative and less relevant to a regular person and less exciting, on top of just being something that we've gone through before. And when a hundredth prototype gets unveiled, we're just not as excited when a second and third and fourth was unveiled, right? That's just life, and just that's just what it is. Except for, like I said, my entire channel was based on exciting electric car news, and now it looks like this guy hates electric cars. Not good. So, like I said, I'm going to pivot a little bit. I'm going to produce less videos. They're definitely still going to be under 60 seconds. They're going to be vertical videos. But I think I'm going to do a little bit more storytelling in these videos, rely a little bit less on electric car news, and do more things. Like, for example, one of them I want to make right now is uh, the smart EV, which has been the ugliest, dumbest thing that I've ever seen. It's actually came out with a pretty decent new EV. That's actually, I'd be like, well, I could completely wrote smart EV off, right? But now they made something that's like, oh wow, damn, that actually might work. I think they're finally catching up to what people want. So I want to make a video about that. Um, all right, the champ says, Alex, will you please do CES in Detroit auto show in 2025? We got your back if other YouTubers try to step up to your because they got their feelings. Well, so here's the thing. Usually, when I and other YouTubers go to these events, we have brands pay for our travel because these are not cheap. Especially when you travel around the world, from another side of the world, you know, there that's not cheap. Plus the hotel, plus a lot of stuff. It's you know, however, because I've been critical of a lot of these automakers, a lot of them basically said, "Well, we don't want to invite you anymore because we don't want you telling the truth about issues that we're having." And so they stopped. They stopped inviting me to media events. They stopped inviting me to auto shows, CES, or whatever. Now TOGG was the brand that brought me to last CES. They're probably my only brand that will actually do it again this year if they will. But another problem is a lot of these brands are basically no longer throwing as much money at marketing just because times are tough. EV marketing specifically because times are tough, right? How many more billions of dollars does Ford want to lose on their electric cars by paying influencers first class tickets, right? Um, Probably not that much. And then just generally speaking, a lot of companies are having trouble. Like even smaller sponsors I've had, they're like, listen, you've been selling our products just fine, but we just don't have a budget anymore. So I have a feeling that I might be still brought out to CES, which has gotten much more expensive because I used to be able to just get there myself because I had a house in Las Vegas, and I also it was just like a $99 one way because I flew from San Francisco airport to Las Vegas, and it was it. But now when I flew to Las Vegas last January from Thailand, that was about a $5,000 trip. So I don't know, I don't know if TOGG would still do that, but I would be happy to do that. I mean, I've collabed with TOGG in great ways, so it is a possibility. But I have been thinking about, and I'm going to share this with you guys. Because I've been doing this channel for 8 years, and I don't know, like I don't know if I'm gonna slow down or if I'm just gonna rely more on maybe doing like live streams instead of like produced videos, or maybe I'll just do less videos. However, I've been thinking that as the electric car industry has slowed down, maybe so should I. Because I'm not gonna lie, I used to make a lot of money on this channel, and now I make very little money on this channel, if any, sometimes. Which is fine. Like I said, I mean, I live in Thailand. I have other means of income that pay for my lifestyle. That's perfectly fine. And when I say lifestyle, I have a very modest lifestyle. I don't know why. I just don't spend money on anything. Like, I have a luxury apartment that I live in here with a view in one of the best brands condominiums here, and I pay $700 a month. I love Thai food, so my lunches are $2. I don't want to have a car of any kind because it's Bangkok and there's traffic everywhere. And even though I take Uber, it's called Grab here, all the time, but I also take Subway and SkyTrain, which I like. They're very clean and nice and air conditioned here. And I don't spend more than like $400 or $500 a month on that. So my insurance costs very little here. Like, I don't really spend that much money. But I've been thinking, like, listen, if I'm already not making that much money, I don't have any commitments to sponsors or whatever, maybe, slow down the channel for a year or two and see what happens with the industry. Maybe things will work themselves out. I mean, imagine if Elon Musk steps down as a Tesla CEO and someone like Herbert Diess takes over, or maybe even like Tim Cook or so, and actually makes Tesla what Tesla was supposed to be, right? That would be exciting. Chinese automakers. I got to tell you, their cars are quite exciting here. If they're gonna start kind of forcing the rest of the manufacturers to either out of business, I don't give a shit at this point, or to keep up with them rather than keeping up with Tesla, I think we can still have a very, very interesting second electric car revolution, or at least a progress in adoption. So I can see kind of getting back into it, maybe as all of these bullshit problems are fixed, when maybe I don't have to watch and report on videos of superchargers and Electrify America chargers having a 2-hour line just to get to the charger. Maybe when this electric car fires are taken care of, maybe when Volkswagen and other brands figure out how to make electric cars and not lose money on it. Maybe after all of that, when electric car industry is just electric industry, like just a regular car industry, and we do have self-driving and other AI interesting technologies, maybe I will kind of go back to like doing it full time. But what I was thinking, meanwhile, like I said, I'm just thinking about it. There's one thing that I've been very passionate about. It has nothing to do with cars. As you probably know, I am a passport bro. Does anybody know what it is? Can anybody actually put it in the chat if you guys know or don't know what a passport bro is? And if you do, type it out. What would be your explanation? But there are very few people in my position who have become passport bros, and I can tell you that by just being here in Thailand, and I visited other countries where passport bros go. And oh, but damn, the champ has guessed it. You literally guessed it. I cannot believe this. All right. Well, I'll talk about it anyway. So yeah. So okay. So the passport bro is a man who lives in a Western country, like me. I lived in America, who essentially still wants to have a traditional relationship, more or less. Get married to a traditional girl, have a traditional family, which is no more in Western countries. And there's a whole new movement of men who are basically fighting for men's rights, which is a side problem there, but also for trying to figure out what to do because a lot of men just stop dating. I know quite a few people myself. I know quite a few men who are, still in shape, make a lot of money, legit guys, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, would make amazing husbands, and they just stop dating. They're like, nope, I don't want to date anymore. I don't want to put up with that bullshit that the modern women, I don't want to waste my money on dates and dinners, and like it's not worth it anymore. So I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna develop my hobbies, go to the gym, travel, experience stuff, and keep my money and my sanity. So, so and some men are kind of they would have casual relationships but would not commit to any women. Like they're like, yeah, we can fool around with this women, but I can't see any value beyond that. A lot of men also in these Western countries are now essentially paying for it, right? The term sugar baby, if you haven't heard, it's essentially like subscription prostitution. You kind of like hire a girl who will do stuff for you and act like your girlfriend, but you have to pay literally monthly. Like they literally get monthly allowance, okay? Just for those of you who don't know what it is. So very few men are actually having a genuine relationships, and families, and it's going down. And on the other side, the very, 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 very few good, traditional women who are on the other end, and just even generally, even average women are complaining that dating is horrible because they don't get approached anymore. Men don't take them seriously anymore. A lot of men have completely quit. You can even go to bars, and I've already observed this when I was still in the US a couple of years ago, where I would go to a bar and I'll be like, why is I'm like three men here, like 30 women? Like that's insane. Am I in some sort of paradise? And then I realized that because a lot of men don't want to go out and buy drinks for girls just to be taken advantage of and get nothing out of it. But there are some men like me who essentially move out of America or a Western country and move to a country with traditional values like Thailand. Southeast Asia is definitely one of the destinations, but a lot of guys also go to South America and some go to Africa. Like I told you guys, Kenya was one of the list of my destinations. Um, However, there are a couple of big problems with it. Well, I would say three. One problem is, are you even qualified to do this? Like, because if you're like if you behave a certain way as a man, um, you know, and you continue to do that, even if you're going to be in a country with a lot of different traditional women, you're going to fail anyway because of how you conduct yourself as a man. So you know, I think exactly this comment is right, that I do want to talk about, to men about how to do just self improvement to just become better partners, have a higher value as a man. Because a lot of guys, I mean, I hate to tell you guys this, but you know, what's up with wearing baggy t-shirts, shorts, and then white socks in sandals? Like, the I used to dress like this when I was 7, right? And now grown men dress like this and wonder why women are not attracted to this. You know, like it is fucking hot as shit here in Thailand. Every goddamn day, it's like 100 degrees. You know what I wear when I don't wear this? Like this t-shirt is the only t-shirt I have with anything on it that I wear for this live streams. But I wear pants. I don't even have shorts. I don't have sandals. I have dress shoes and actually cowboy boots, and I have shirts, and it's really hot in here, guys, because I want to present myself like a man. So I want to start a channel about that, but I also want to talk about first qualify if you want to really start dating, and find a traditional woman. Start acting like a man first of all, because a lot of men just don't realize that somehow with time they've degraded into you know secondly, moving out of the country is a big deal, and picking another country is a big deal, and then living here is a big deal. And then even when you get here, like for example, everything that I know about how to approach a woman went straight out of the window. You can't just come up to a girl here at a coffee shop. That's not how it's done. These are traditional women. Traditional women, you don't meet them and approach them at a coffee shop. It's a different game here. So are you ready to do that? Are you ready to completely relearn how to approach women? Are you ready to relearn how to do dating? That's very different too. And the reason you have to get ready for that is because there is no such thing as traditional dating in America anymore, where here it's more traditional. You have to relearn that. uh, I would love to teach that. And also just the logistics. I mean, people show up to Thailand and other countries and they don't realize that, like, oh, shit, like these traditional women, they don't speak English. And the women who do speak English, they're not traditional. So, holy crap. And Thai is hard to learn. Um, they show up here and go like, wait a second, I got my tourist visa, but it's for 3 months, and I can renew for another 3 months or whatever. But I mean, how do you live here forever, like legally, right? You know, just a new life here takes a lot. Like I have now 2 years of experience of literally changing my life. Now, if you like your life is shit in America, it's probably easy to change. But my life was good, and I think a lot of men who are qualified to be passport bros, hate the term by the way. Um, it it uh, it 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 requires so much preparation, so much many good decisions and research for you to figure out. Because I won't be able to tell you, it's like, oh yeah, move to Thailand right here, you're gonna be fine. No, Thailand is not for everybody. You know what I mean? Super synthesis is jumping in and says, um, dating in the Philippines was just fish jumping into the boat. Yes and no. I've been to Philippines, and I do have to say that Filipino women are very different than Thai women. They're actually almost aggressive, where Thai women. But you also, Filipino culture, everybody speaks English, so these are women very much exposed to Western culture, and so you get way more women who are not traditional, who are gold diggers and so forth. And those, jumping in a fish, they're usually the women that, like I said, if you're gonna, I see a lot of foreigners here who end up with women here who are no better than the women they could have dated in the United States. They are prettier and younger though, so that might be worth it. But as far as the type of relationship you're gonna have, it's not gonna be any difference. You're just gonna have a shitty relationship with a girl who's just prettier and younger. Um, or one of those things, which is an upgrade, but not the ultimate goal why you should, move, right? So a lot of times you really have to look. And I mean, I've been here for over a year, and I got to tell you, I've learned a lot of stuff. So what I would like to do is to put together a channel that will tell people and talk about, essentially the challenges and why dating is impossible in America and Western countries. Um, how to become a higher value man, because I think a lot of men just don't even know. It's like rule number one: burn your shorts and your sandals. Like, you know what I mean? Rule number two: stop simping. Stop coming up to women and asking them to buy them a drink. That is a horrible way. If you're married, happy wife, happy life. Oh my God, I'd rather shoot myself. That is such a horrible way to run your marriage. Like, I feel like a lot of guys just need to understand, like, how to be men again. Is a Russian women are westernized? Oh my God, yes. I have tried here, so I've done. So this is the thing. I've done a lot of things that you shouldn't, just to give you my advice. Because when I got here, I said, well, listen, we got all this amazing, submissive, traditional Thai women. I'm sure the foreign women who live here, they have to compete with them, so they've adjusted their attitude. Otherwise, they'll never find anybody. No, they're just as, if not more delusional. So I have gone out with Russian women here, which I always had a rule in America: no Russian women for me. But I was like, okay, all right, this is a whole new experiment, right? No one's more delusional than Russian women that bring the least value to the table. I mean, honestly, I just, yes, they're definitely, well, absolutely. And I would stay the hell away from them no matter where you are in life. Obviously, there are exceptions to all of this, but yeah. Okay. So MTL says, how about women in Brazil? So yes, I mean, Brazil would have been on my list for sure. I love Brazilian women. They're definitely my type. However, what's not my type is all the murdering that's going in Brazil. Way too high of a crime. And this is one of the things I have to talk about is that, listen, yes, I came here for better dating pool, right? However, there are other things that you have to consider, like healthcare, like safety. Because, like in America, I carried a gun. I got a license to carry a gun. I'm a U.S. citizen. At least I was able to protect myself if something would have happened. Here, foreigners cannot carry guns. I mean, even Thai people cannot carry guns, but even if they did, foreigners definitely cannot own guns. So, you better be in a country where, it's very safe. And Brazil is not one of those countries. And Mexico to me was also off the list because of that. So, those are the compromises you have to make because, would I dig Brazilian women more than I dig Thai women? Yeah. But the will my standard of life and quality of life would be much lower? Yes. So it has to be a compromise. Even so people cannot, I do not recommend that men who want to, leave America or European country and go after women in traditional countries just concentrate on women. Because, like, for example, okay, in America, I dated mainly black women. I love black women. I think they're gorgeous. So honestly, probably I should have gone to one of the African countries like Kenya, right? Nairobi is a great country. And by the way, everybody speaks English. Problem solved. Now, that if all I wanted was this perfect woman I'm going after. However, again, crime. And by the way, you can't hide this. You can't hide this in Thailand, but you definitely cannot hide this in Africa, right? The healthcare, the infrastructure. Like, for example, Philippines, like, it's another country, right? I love Filipino women, but there's no fast internet. I cannot go to a coffee shop and do anything. There's just no internet. Sometimes if it's raining, you will be stuck in the mall like a little child waiting for an Uber for 2 hours because there's not enough cars. And when an Uber comes, it will be a piece of crap cardboard box with no seat belts on top of that. So, like, I'm not up for any of that. And so I'm describing Cebu City because in Manila, you're probably gonna say, well, but I was in Manila. But Manila, the crime is too high. So these are all the things that I wanted to put together as in actual a digital product, which will be like an online class or online course, and kind of have my channel around it, talking about the issues of modern dating, what it's like to be out of all of that bullshit and into some other bullshit, and that's what I'm thinking about my channel, of doing another channel, starting another channel. The problem, of course, is when you talk about issues that have to do with women, very quickly people will try to cancel you and label you as a sexist, right? Anytime you criticize a woman or women in general, you will be labeled as sexist. And because most of the social media platforms are run by quite woke, pro feminist sort of individuals, you will lose your. I'm not even going to monetize my new channel. Like, I will lose it in a second, but they can just remove your account and claim that you're spreading sexism when that's not really the reality. And so besides X, besides Twitter, you can be canceled very easily. Or even if I have a successful channel talking about the challenges of dating, and I, for example, want to try to get a sponsor for this channel, a lot of sponsors will be like, well, we can't sponsor your electric car channel because we feel like you're, sexist piece of shit on that other channel, right? So I would have to really think, very hard. And Cold Tesla is saying make another channel, it will work or not. You have the experience, use it. Yeah, and plus I'll have fun with it. Like I said, I mean, like, income right now is not a concern. I literally just live off of my investments right now. And again, I don't spend that much money. My lifestyle is more like, I don't really ever look at prices here. There's nothing that I don't have that I want. So but I do have to think about it because it is also work, and I would love to do it. um, Super Synthesis says, I don't remember seeing a seatbelt in the back seat anywhere in the Philippines, and I took many cabs. So there you go. Okay, so for some people, they'll be like, yeah, I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that. I'm okay if the crime is a little high and whatever, and maybe the girl that I'm dating may possibly get, our word, like, why do we have to say our word when graped, when we know what we're talking about anyway. So or I'm okay without using seat belts in the car, where I know if I get an accident, it will already be pretty bad wreck because it's made with no safety features. On top of that, I have no seat belts. Like, some people are just comfortable with that. I'm not, no matter how beautiful and English speaking Filipino women are. So now, of course, by the way, there's a lot of other things I want to talk on that channel, for example, and this is something that I've been thinking about. Maybe going to Philippines and meeting a girl that I like there, and bringing her here in Thailand to live here in Thailand. So we both will be living in Thailand, not the country that we're citizens of. That is a possibility. However, of course, you're running a risk of yanking her out of her support system, away from her family and friends that essentially made her a traditional woman that she is. And of course, you're putting her in another traditional society, which is a good thing, but that can also backfire, right? Mr. R says, telling the truth is painful and does not pay that well. No, no, no. Appreciate what you do. Okay, yeah. Telling the truth in this industry is painful and does not pay well anymore. But I think if I tell the truth about the modern dating and American women and Western women, that will actually pay well because I can have my own products. Like in this industry, in the electric car industry, there's no product that I can make, especially a digital product that I can sell you guys. That's why you don't see anybody selling pretty much anything. But in other niches of YouTube and social media influencers, people are their own sponsors, so they sell their own products, and that's what absolutely would be possible. I think my course about how to navigate your and plan your move to another country, I can sell it for $100 all day long. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about maybe pricing that $200 or $300, and it will be worth it because I have so much information most people do not have. That's a product that I can absolutely market, right? Um, Super synthesis says the roads in Philippines are simply dangerous. There's no way around it. There is no respect for lanes, for example. Yeah, Vietnam is very similar. I mean, it's kind of a little chaos here in Thailand, but because like in Bangkok, for example, the traffic is a lot of times so bad, you can't really die. Even if you're on a motorcycle, there's just not enough speed here because everyone's kind of standing still a lot of times. Mr. R says people who have never been in Southeast Asia do not understand how bad and dangerous the traffic really is. That shit is built differently. Yeah, I mean, people just do not, even people who go to Southeast Asia or other countries, they come here, they live in a neighborhood that's been built for American tourists. They never get to see actual Thailand, and they leave and they tell you, oh, I've been to Thailand, this is how things are. And I gotta tell you, man, even people who live here for years, they live here in a neighborhood, in a certain neighborhood, never leave that neighborhood because why? It's got all the bar girls, it's got all the American food, and everybody speaks English. So why leave? It's kind of harder to get around when if you don't like Thai food, for example, for some reason, or you don't speak Thai, so it's much harder. So people don't do it. So they live here in non-Thailand, Thailand, and then make videos about it. There's tons of people, influencers who live here, tell how it is here in Thailand, and I go like, that's not Thailand. That's your neighborhood that's made for your stupid American ass or whatever British ass, and then you think that's Thailand. It's not Thailand, man. Like that's not nothing at all. Because I've been to real Thailand, and I got to tell you, it's very different. So yeah, people go travel and they travel to places where it's built like people go to Mexico. It's like, oh, I've been to Mexico. Really? Where'd you stay? Oh, I stayed at Puerto Vallarta Resort and I took a cruise ship. Oh, so you have not been to Mexico. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what Mexico is like. Did you go into the villages? Did you go into the hills at least? I was lucky enough that I actually knew. Actually, it's funny. He was a piano player at one of the cruise ships, and I love taking cruise ships because I didn't even fly before I had my channel, and so I've seen this piano player twice. We made friends, and when I went on a third cruise to Mexico, he actually wasn't working on the cruise ships anymore. And when we went to Puerto Vallarta, he was just living his regular life. And so we ended up meeting up with him and his family, and he drove us around the real Mexico and showed us the real Mexico. That's how I got to see real Mexico. Otherwise, I wouldn't, right? So yeah, people don't know what it's like. I mean, the life here is very, 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 very different. Like it's hard to explain because when even if I was to show it to you on video, you'll be like, oh, there are people and houses and cars, kind of look all right. But it's like, no, but it's all very, 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 very different. Everything's different. What you're seeing is not what the way the life here is. And like, for example, dating is one of them. Like, yeah, there are women around everywhere. You just can't come up and approach them and get their number. You just can't. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but that's just not how it normally happens, right? Um, Rob R says you can bounce out the window with no seatbelt. Yeah, you can, but in an accident, even without accident. But yeah, no, of course. I think we're on the same page. I think I spat on my own screen here. I think we're on the same page. You need seat belts. I think we're on the same page since the 70s, I believe, on that. So um, anyway, so this is my idea of what I might want to do next year. I'm still gonna try to do a few different videos. I think I might even, I mean, I'm definitely gonna do these live streams for the rest of the year. I might even do one live stream per day because I really love doing this. Honestly, guys, I'm sitting here and talking about stuff that I like and you seem to dig it. Uh, it's good times. But the good times gotta end because it's been a pleasure. Thank you to those of you who super chatted me. I really appreciate it. Two of you, it's always fun. I'm gonna be back on next Wednesday afternoon, your time, midnight my time. It's now Thursday here. Um, if you have some topics that you want to suggest to talk about it, let me know. There was a gentleman last time that I just I talked a lot shit to him, I have to say, but he said a lot of stupid shit, and he reached out to me by email. He said, "Listen, man, you kind of were really harsh on me, but I think I have a point." And so we actually ended up having a pretty good conversation. I still told him like I'm sorry, man, what you said was kind of stupid. So I'm sorry, I have to stick with that. But we actually ended up having a good conversation. I was hoping he was going to be in the chat today and we could talk about it because we were talking about Tesla robotics and stuff like that. So but I absolutely love when people have different opinions. We can debate, we can talk as long as it's civil. And so far I got to tell you, I've been surprised how civil and cool everyone's been, like pretty much every night. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching me, guys. Thank you for the super chats. This has been once again a pleasure. Let's meet here, same time, same day, which is in 6 days, 20 and 22 hours. All right, I will talk to you guys later. And as always, remember to stay charged.